On Fridays, I wanted to start a new segment where I talk about some of my reflections from the week and things that I feel either help push me forward or something that I learned during the week. One thing that I wanted to share with you is it's okay sometimes to ask for help. I think as adults, we have a tendency to shy away from asking for help. Specifically, I think this goes more so to the men for the fear that if you ask for help, you may be seen as incompetent or less than. I've been guilty of this more times in my life than I care to admit. I tend to be somebody who doesn't want help, doesn't want assistance from anyone, wants to do it on my own, only on my own. And in some ways, it's so short sighted. Now, there are plenty of things in life that you need to learn on your own, and you don't necessarily need to ask anybody else for assistance on. But there are other things in life that perhaps you might want to. Perfect example I'll give you. When I was about 12 years old, in health class, we had received our first razors, the boys and the girls. And I got home and I had a little bit of, hair on my lip. And I thought, ooh, what a great idea. I'll shave it off. I'll start being like an adult. Instead of asking my dad, who shaves basically every day, for help, who would have done it instantly, I decided I'm going to do it on my own. It'd be a great idea. Yeah, I learned very quickly that that was a mistake. First of all, maybe I should have used shaving cream. I also wasn't the brightest, clearly. And perhaps pushing as hard as you physically can on your lip is only going to keep cutting your lip, which is what I did. And I learned the hard way. Sometimes in life you do learn the hard way. But sometimes if you have the courage and you're not making any progress and you're willing to ask somebody for help, just know that that in of itself can be a brave move. If you're willing to ask somebody for help because you have tried something and it's not working out and you don't quite know what to do, that is a strength. And I know in the advent of YouTube, self-help books, gurus on the internet, we have a tendency to say, oh, that's the answer. And I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say YouTube has not given me many answers. It has, especially, for instance, changing a faucet was something that I learned on YouTube because my faucet had broken and I didn't quite know what to do, but I kind of knew what to do, and it actually led me down the path correctly. But watching a video online or reading a book or hearing a podcast about it is very different than talking to somebody who's actually been there. Maybe an elder, maybe an older brother, older sister, parent, a relative, a friend who's gone through it, who's been through certain things. Like, for instance, if you want to learn how to invest your money, you might want to talk to somebody who's been doing it for years, who maybe could help you instead of going online and being like, oh, I'm going to become a day trader. Yeah, don't do that. That's a terrible idea and you will lose money. But if you find somebody who actually just invests their money, that might be helpful. No different than diet and exercise. If you find somebody who's been exercising consistently for many, many years and, eats well, you might want to ask them, is it okay if I just ask you a couple questions? How did you get into this? What did you do? Where did you start? You'd be surprised. A lot of people actually might be very flattered by it. And in some ways, the person being asked for help also might be very honored. It's nice to feel wanted. It's nice to feel that maybe you have something to give back to other people. I'm not saying all people are like that, but in my experience, more oftentimes than not, if you're willing to ask somebody for help, they're probably willing to say, sure, I can give you a shot. But there is one caveat. Do remember that if you are going to ask somebody for help and they say yes, two things need to go through your mind. One, it's an incredible gift because they're giving you something that they can't get back, and that's time. And the second is they're taking their time to give you their own expertise. Right, wrong, or indifferent, at least give them the respect of just listening to it and maybe trying it for yourself. Obviously, whatever you were doing, if you're asking for help, has not really been working. So maybe give it a go a different way. I've been stubborn more times in my life than I care to admit whether it came down to the way that I used to study for years on end. I thought in law school, my first semester, of course, that studying meant just sitting in the library looking at the pages, and that's how I would absorb the material for whatever reason. Great job it did me when I did terrible my first semester. So what I did was I asked for help. And thank God there was a professor who really helped me. She was great. Professor Queenan was awesome. And she really showed me how to study for myself. And I started implementing things that she had talked about, and it made all the difference in the world. I was able to turn around my grades quite a bit, and I was able to learn and really enjoy it. So if somebody is willing to help you and you're brave enough to ask for it, listen and give it a shot. You have nothing else to lose because already it's probably not working out. I'm not saying that in a negative, I'm just being honest. It's a reflection that I've had this week that when things aren't working quite the way you want it and you've tried, maybe ask for help. It's not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And I say this specifically more so to the men, not the women, nothing against the women. As a guy, I know I personally have a tendency not to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness to ask somebody else for help. It shows that you're at least smart enough to know that you're not doing it right and there are other people that know more than you. And being humble enough to say, listen, I need help and I'll listen is a great gift. Just as great as the person who's saying, I would like to help you and give the time to do it. Think about it, give it a shot, and if you need help, ask.